7 years after Galaxy's Edge first opened at Disneyland Park back in 2019, the Star Wars-themed land finally feels like it's for fans of multiple eras. Originally, Galaxy's Edge and the planet of Batuu was created to be a fully immersive experience set during the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. Now, this is something that Disney has walked back with a pretty significant overhaul, including exciting changes coming this week. Since 2019, Galaxy's Edge has felt smaller in scope in relation to the franchise's multiple eras and trilogies. Likewise, not all Star Wars fans are necessarily fans of all eras, like the objectively divisive sequels. Now, Disney has made some very exciting changes in 2026, many of which I can personally confirm are most welcome. Between new Mandalorian-focused experiences, the additions of original trilogy characters like Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, and Han Solo, additional Star Wars timeline references and aesthetic changes, and the iconic scores of John Williams, Galaxy's Edge finally feels like it belongs to all corners of the Star Wars fandom rather than just one era. This week makes it official, Galaxy's Edge finally caters to multiple eras of Star Wars fans. While Disney's 20226 overhaul of Galaxy's Edge first rolled out in late April, this week brings one of the Star Wars-themed land's biggest changes. Not only is May 22 the release of The Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters, but Disneyland is also debuting the massive Mandalorian overhaul to Millennium Falcon, Smugglers Run. The updated attraction is set to include an entirely new mission featuring Din Djarin and Grogu. Additionally, engineers are being given a much-needed larger role, which has always felt lacking next to the far more exciting pilots and gunners. Rather than simply pushing buttons in the back, engineers will now be in charge of protecting Grogu himself during the mission. As exciting as the upcoming update is for Smugglers Run, it's not the only major change that Galaxy Edge has seen in 2026. Last week also debuted The Curious Child, a brand new addition to the incredible Shadows of Memory projection show on the rock spires behind the Falcon. Mandalorian and Grogu stars Pedro Pascal and Sigourney Weaver helped debut the edition alongside director Jon Favreau and new Lucasfilm head Dave Filoni. While the original show retells the story of the first 6 Star Wars films, The Curious Child sees Grogu retelling the story of the Mandalorian series, and also teasing The Mandalorian and Grogu. This is all on top of the exciting changes the land has seen since the end of April, just ahead of May the 4th. Beloved original trilogy characters like Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, Han Solo, and even Darth Vader now appear throughout the land, joining new Republic-era characters like Ahsoka, Din Djarin, and Grogu who've become regular fixtures in the last few years. Likewise, sequel characters and elements are still featured, with characters like Rey and Chewbacca now being found closer to the Rise of the Resistance ride, with Kylo Ren and the First Order now being moved to Tomorrowland near Star Tours, which received exciting updates of its own back in 2024. The result? Guests now get to feel like they're walking through multiple eras, an experience that arguably should have been felt from the very beginning. Galaxy's Edge even has references to the Clone Wars and Endor now. My recent visit to Galaxy's Edge was the best yet, Star Wars Nights, Darth Vader, and more. Having recently attended one of this year's Star Wars Nights around May the 4th, I can honestly say Galaxy's Edge currently feels better than any of the few times I've visited in the past. It may be a degree less immersive, though the trade-off is absolutely worth it in mind to have a Star Wars-themed land that better captures the spirit of the entire franchise and its multiple eras. Walking through Batuu while classic John Williams themes play overhead is the perfect use of nostalgia, and it's wild to me that this year is the first time Darth Vader has been used in Galaxy's Edge itself. When the Dark Lord excited the TIE Echelon right at midnight, the crowds went wild the moment his iconic breathing was heard. Nearly 50 years later, the Star Wars franchise has thrived as long as it has because so many different generations connect to different eras, if not all of them. Some grew up with the original trilogy, others with the prequels, the Clone Wars, or the newer live-action shows on Disney+. Now, Galaxy's Edge is finally embracing that core truth in some very exciting ways, making the trip to Disneyland even more worth it for fans of all ages and eras.